Lots going on the political landscape, and me and Sasha Star, we'll see who else will be joining us. We'll be talking about these various things that are taking place in the world, politically on the political landscape, and all along those lines. So, like I said, there's a lot going on, including a deal to end the U.S. shutdown would also allow some Republican senators to seek $500,000 for the January 6th probe. So that is something that folks are talking about. And Scott Weiner, a Jewish Democrat and critic of Israel war in Gaza, is vying for Nancy Pelosi's seat. So that's something else that folks are talking about in the political landscape and all along those lines. I'm sure there's a number of other things that are going on as well, including Christine Pelosi saying that she won't run for her mom's seat and all along those lines. And a New Jersey House Democrat has announced retirement. And definitely there's a lot going on in that space and a lot's taking place in that way. And like I said earlier today, Obama surprised dozens of veterans after their plane arrives in Washington for Veterans Day. I was actually watching a sports show earlier today, and it was a couple of sports shows. One had an interview with Coach K of Duke as he was getting ready for the Duke against Army game, and he is an Army grad and all along those lines. So he was definitely reflecting on that, but he definitely thinks that Duke is a stronger team and all along those lines. But he was also talking about the amazing work that they're doing at the Emily K Center and some of the things that they are doing in that space. And then there was one that was being taped at Paris Islands, which is where the Marines train, and all along those lines. And they actually got the president to call in. And when he called in, he said that he had something like 92% approval from the military. And he was also, as Jacoby was thinking he was going to do, was blaming the Democrats for the shutdown and all along those lines. So he was definitely doing that. And then he was also talking about the merits of sports as a unifying factor. And apparently he was rooting for the American team in the Ryder Cup and all along those lines. But he was talking about how America, and particularly sports, is a unifying force and all along those lines. I'm going to see if I can find this video that Sasha sent me, but in the meantime, I'll bring Sasha in and see what he's got going on in his world. As a matter of fact, they're also saying the Justice Department struggles as thousands are exiting the Justice Department and few are replaced in the exodus from the Justice Department. So definitely that is something that is going on as well. So definitely a lot's going on in that space. And like I said, I was surprised when I was flipping through the channels and saw, or he actually didn't appear. He appeared as a radio call. So it was actually his voice and not him. And he had to give the hoorah that is very common among the Marines and all along those lines. I think they got him to do it 2 or 3 times and all along those lines. But he did talk a little bit about politics. And of course, he was blaming the Democrats for the shutdown and all in that space. So they're already starting to do that marketing and that branding that Jacoby and others talk about consistently here on Pod TV. So how are you doing, Sasha, and everything like that? I'm going to see if I can't find that video of yours while you're explaining to us some of your other thoughts about politics in general and maybe some
Well, number one is
of the things going on in the world, but I'm going to try to see if I can't get that
I'm deeply disappointed with the Democrats. They caved in to Republicans. And this is absolutely the most horrible development of all, because they were essentially, they ended shutdown without achieving anything. They didn't get anything in exchange of really nothing. They got real nothing. So then the main question is, then why, if you didn't have resolve to fight and win, then why did you do it in the first place? You should have caved in the first day avoid shutdown and say, well, okay, that's life. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're smarter. We give in and we'll see what will happen in the next 5, 10, 20 years. That would be honest approach. What they did absolute disaster for Democratic Party, and now it's becoming very clear that this Democratic Party is doomed. They have to get rid of itself from people like Schumer, the Jeffries, all the leadership has to go. They have to run. They're not politicians. They are political yo-yos who are a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay, we'll give you this and we'll get you that. And okay, they will try to win the next elections to be re-elected. That's all they're all about. Have to be gone. In fact, the Ben Sanders, he is doing fantastic job to rebuild Democratic Party. He has a strategy. Of course, he himself is too old to play a major role in it, but he's very skillful to provide agenda, to select young or not so young candidates, and that's only hope for Democrats.
It makes a lot of sense and everything like that. We got Rick joining us. By the way, that video did not come in the email, so if you want to try to send it again, hopefully I can get it before 6, since the other show is a rerun and everything.
Oh, you can run it right now because this video will tell.
No, that's what I'm saying. The video didn't come through. The video didn't come through the email. It didn't come through as an attachment.
Okay, so can you open it?
That's why I said I can't open it. The video didn't come through. I just got your text. I just got the letter, but not the video.
Oh, let me see.
You might have to try to send it again because the video did not come through.
Eric Previn? Eric Previn died? No.
Who passed away?
Oh, I just found out 2 people I know passed away. Cleto Escobedo, Jimmy Kimmel's band leader, passed away at age 59, a really good and really talented guy. And then a guy I served on a neighborhood council. So yeah, my wife anyway, I'm getting bad news here.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry about that. Our condolences and everything like that. Hopefully Sasha's going to send me that video and everything like that and we'll try to get it on once I get it this time. Yeah, but the first time it did not come through. Jacoby, what you got going on? I know that as I was telling Sasha, I was after we did some of our other shows, including the Ukraine-Russia show and a number of other shows on the network, I was flipping through channels and I saw some of the sports coverage on ESPN, and one of them, I forgot the name of the show, but they had a call-in from President Trump. So he was over there blaming the Democrats for the shutdown and saying that it was all their fault, as you have said, and predicting that the Republicans would do and everything like that. But he was also saying that he's got 92% approval from the military, which I find kind of hard to believe, but we know he likes to say things that aren't always.
Yeah, his numbers are never frickin'.
Mark, yeah, Rick is right. His numbers are never right. He inflates whatever. He makes up numbers.
Well, also the people around him know they can tell him whatever as long as it paints him in a good light, and he'll buy it. Like there might be some survey of some segment of the military, say Republican members of the military. Like he always presents. Like when they survey, they do like 1/3 Republican, 1/3 Independent, 1/3 Democrat, and then he always just picks the numbers of the approval numbers for the Republicans, and as if it's the entire population.
He doesn't read. He doesn't pick numbers. He just makes them up.
Yeah, but
like because we talked about this. This is one thing Sasha talked about before when we were talking about the making up numbers that he normally does. When he said he's going to reduce drug prices by 1,000%, 800%. Nobody's ever seen these kind of numbers before. No one has, because nobody is giving you drugs and paying you money for having their drug. Ozempic. No, Ozempic's not giving you $100 just to have Ozempic. So he just makes up numbers. He doesn't read numbers. He don't care. If he says it's great, it's great.
Well, all right. Case in point. At some point, he said that everybody in America was going to get a $5,000 check from Doge savings, which.
And now he's backed that down to 2,000, and I think this is supposed to be from tariffs.
Tariffs. But if you do the math, also SCOTUS is still due to rule on whether tariffs are legal, and if they're not legal, if he has to return the money that he took in so there may be no money available, and even if there is, he claims trillions and trillions. But anyway, it's fantasy land.
The fantasy land.
Let's talk about Trump wants to give people 50-year mortgages. And
50-year mortgages?
That is, you buy a house and by 2075, your house is paid off.
And how's he going to pull this off?
Yes. So there was actually a gentleman that I saw that did actually a great piece on this, on the 50-year mortgage. It's a dumb idea. It's just a way the banks get to hold on to you longer, which is even worse than what they're doing with the student loans. And then he's also going to throw in a 15-year car loan. So essentially, if you get a $400,000 home, by the time you pay off that home, because you're only paying roughly about $100 on the loan in the first place. So
on the principal, you're never paying the principal. It takes decades to build up any significant equity.
So on a $400,000 home, somebody did the math on it. By the time you pay it off after 50 years, you've already paid close to $2 million on the home.
I've got the exact numbers. Somebody did the math. At 6% interest, you buy a home for $415,000. You put 20% down. On a 30-year mortgage, which is bad enough, you're paying $400,000 in interest. On a 50-year, you're paying $750,000 just in interest. So you're paying 3 times the cost of the home, and only getting one home.
Yep. And then even still, what's crazy is that the equity that's built up in it, even at that 400,000 mark, which we're coming close to that being the average home price in the first place, but even at that mark, you're only currently like 58,000 in equity is what at a 30-year, but you're only in equity with that 50-year loan. The only equity you're building up is roughly about $16,000. And then you're not even talking about all the stuff that you end up putting in it, and you can never sell. You can never sell with a 50-year loan because it'll never get paid off.
Well, so, people who've never had a mortgage maybe don't understand the math, where you get a mortgage and for the first few years, 95% of what you're paying is interest. And it's only towards the end of the loan when the amount of money that you're paying applies to the actual cost of the price that you paid for the home. But Trump, he doesn't worry about this because when he gets a loan, he never pays it off. If he pays it for a year or two, and then he says, I don't have the money. We have to renegotiate. Trump doesn't give a crap. And
what's even worse, though, that right there, that housing bubble that burst years ago that really tanked the market and they had to come in and save it. What's going to happen is if they instill these 50-year mortgages in a year's time, that's going to create a huge bubble. Well, then in 2 years, it's going to explode.
There's another thing going on. The head of Fannie Mae, who I assume was installed by Trump, says they want to get a home now. To qualify for a mortgage, you need a credit score of at least 620. Which is not a great score. It's a middling score. A great score is 800, but you need 620 now. They want to get rid of the 620, and that's what you said is right. In 2006, 7, 8, they were giving mortgages to people who couldn't afford. Now, it's great that people get to own houses, but they have to be able to pay for the mortgage on the houses. And in 2000, in the aughts, they were giving teaser rate mortgages on $600,000 homes in Las Vegas and the rest of the country to people who worked at fast food places and were earning $11 an hour. And it's great they got to live in a fancy ass home for 2 years, but then the teaser rate went away and they lost the home, they lost any equity they had. It screwed the country for 10 years, and we're setting up to do that crazy crap again.
And it's that crazy crap on steroids, and that's the worst part, because not only with they're removing all regulations around the banking itself. Then you have the wild west in the stock market that's gotten even worse. And Sasha, you can attest to that, how it's just getting bad. So now you're creating an AI bubble, a housing bubble, a credit bubble, the car loan bubble. So when this explodes, because I heard that, and I don't know, Sasha, if it's true, the Oracle of Omaha sold a bunch of stocks. He sold out of the market to get ready to buy something or something.
Heavily in cash.
Well, I'd like to tell you that the situation is much worse than you think. You're talking about mortgages, 30 years mortgage, 50 years mortgage, 100 years mortgage. It doesn't matter, because I sent Mark a video which I'd like to run right now, which shows what's happening in the real America, what people are experiencing in actual America when they're being humiliated. The gun has been pointed to their faces. The babies are being taken away. That's what we have to talk about, not the 50 or 100-year mortgages. This is all garbage. Nobody will be even alive when paying 50 years mortgage. What are you talking about? Let's see, you're 30 years old, you bought a house, you put all your life savings into it, you're paying mortgage, which is not going down. Rick, you said that in the first few years you will be just paying off. So if you will walk away, say after even 10 years, you will not have any equity in your house. All will be taken away from you. You know what? It's a situation so miserable that I wouldn't even advise young people what they should do, except killing themselves. So their torture will not be several years from now.
I have advice where if you're a young person and you're working a job that you can do any place in America, then move to a shitty place where the houses are cheap. I found a house in Laredo, Texas, probably haunted, because whoever owns it had painted it inside and out, every wall, the floor, red, which it did. So yeah, there's demons in that freaking house, but it was only $10,000. So freaking move to Laredo, buy a haunted house, work for DoorDash for your crappy money, and
okay, watch this.
Yeah, let's check out this video that you brought to our attention, Sasha.
All hell is breaking loose in the streets across the United States, and we've got Donald Trump caught on camera with his Gestapo, with his militarized forces terrorizing the people here in the United States. We have the videos, we have the photographs, we have the receipts. This is among the most important videos that we do here at the Midas Touch Network. So I ask this favor of you. Please share this with as many people as you can. It is so critical that people in the United States and throughout the world know what's actually taking place inside the United States as Donald Trump sends his masked military forces to round up people migrants, citizens, it doesn't matter, using chemical warfare on the people here, hurting people, terrorizing communities, sending people to concentration camps. Let me show you what's taking place right here. First, I just want to show you, they have this guy named Greg Bavino who leads Donald Trump's Border Patrol. There was just an injunction issued against Bavino and the Border Patrol for chemical warfare that they're engaged in Chicago. The Judge Ellis, said that their behavior, quote, shocks the conscience. And so now what Greg Bavino does is he just walks throughout the various neighborhoods in Chicago to try to terrorize people. He himself walks around, then the community members see him, they start yelling at him and cursing at him. But this is what they just do. They just go around block to block, terrorize people, and point guns at them, point automatic weapons, semi-automatics at them. Here, play this clip of the people saying, "Get the hell out of our community, Bavino." Here, play this clip. By the way, our friends over at Status Coup News, they do a great job. They're on the ground in Chicago. They give us the video so we can show you this content exclusively here, and they have it on their Status Coup News site as well. They show over here what I was just pointing out in the prior video as this ICE Gestapo. They block off the streets in Chicago, and then they start pointing the guns at anybody. Moms, children, they get guns pointed at their face. That's what's going on in Chicago. Shout out to Status Coup's John Farina for capturing this. Let me show you the clip. Let's play it.
Hey, fucking stop! Get out of there! Get out of Kids are in the car. Yeah. Hey, did you get your food? Inside. Can she pass by, please? Can she pass by? Back up, so she could get out. Please stop. You stop. Hey. You just told me
By the way, give our friends at Status Coup News a big thank you. Costs a lot of money for them to have a team in Chicago, and they're over at Substack. Check out the Status Coup Substack and tell them that the Midas Touch guys said thank you. I mean, great work that they're doing over there capturing this for us. All right, this next video I'm going to share with you, you'll see this is in Los Angeles, somewhat close to where I'm from. This is ICE detaining a father in an unmarked white van. They then, and his little child is in the car, and then the ICE Gestapo kidnap the little child, and then they drive off. They kidnap, you'll see it happen. Here, first you'll see them pull out the father. They then later release the father after kidnapping like the 2-year-old kid. Just watch these first 16 seconds of this video. Play this clip.
Hey, we got you, bro. We got you on video.
Hey, y'all can't take him with his daughter right there.
Yeah, they rammed him. My boy with a baby in the back. He wasn't doing absolutely nothing, bro. He wasn't doing nothing, but he was doing weird.
And then you'll see the masked ICE agents go in the car and then kidnap the little baby. They kidnap babies now in the United States. That's what this Trump regime is doing. Here, play this clip.
You gonna take my baby somewhere without telling me where you're taking my child?
That's wild.
Hey, you guys are some real pieces of shit. You know that?
Fucking dicks.
So y'all searching this car without no proper cause?
Do you have family?
You know that?
Are they coming to get her?
That's why.
Look how they block them in though. Don't let the door go, my guy. Don't let the door go.
You ain't got the balls to take that fucking shit off your face, you asshole.
What do you have to do?
This next video I'm going to show you, you have ICE arresting a preschool teacher. They dragged her out of class in front of her traumatized children. Agents slammed her face first into the outer glass door. As they push her outside, they then shoved her against the vehicle. The school was forced to close as the teachers and parents were traumatized by the reign of terror of the regime. The teacher has a legal work permit and passed a background check in order to teach at the Spanish immersion preschool and daycare. According to witness interviews, we wanted to give our children the gift of speaking another language, said one parent. It's such a welcoming and sunny and happy place before Donald Trump and ICE terrorized it and pointed guns at people there, like the terrorists that they are. Let me show you what went down. Here, play this clip.
You want to add something?
I mean, Trump promised his followers that he would get rid of all the
This
illegal
next story
immigrants.
I'm going to share with you involves ICE locking up a United States citizen in
we
leg
get the
chains
point.
for
We-
several hours for taking pictures. They surrounded the car and pointed guns at me. She said, I was scared. They were impersonating. Was I getting kidnapped? When she, no matter what, you were getting kidnapped. When she asked to call a lawyer, they told her, you can't do that. All the landlines are down. They chained my legs up and they put me in a cell for 7 hours. I refused to answer any questions. ICE issued a statement claiming she was driving reckless over a curb and coordinating with another vehicle. Her name is Bernice Garcia Hernandez. She was fingerprinted, booked, and released, but both her phone and her engagement ring are still confiscated in evidence. This occurred at a Chick-fil-A parking lot in Oregon. Play this clip.
They were just laughing like it was a joke. Like they did not care. Like there was no heart in them. Like it was just cold. It was horrible. It was a worse experience.
This 23-year-old woman says even though she's scared, she wants people to know what happened on Monday to protect others who may have the same experience.
They blocked me. They hit my driver when.
Well, you see what's happening. Okay? I don't know. You can stop here and maybe show it
No,
later.
that put me against.
So what happens with these, if you've ever gone to court to fight a traffic ticket, you know that like they bring the cop in. If the cop doesn't show up, they throw out the ticket. If the cop shows up, the cop tells his side of the story. But it happened 6, 8, 10 months ago. The cop has no idea. He doesn't remember. So he just makes shit up, just kind of boilerplate stuff. And then the judge believes the cop and you lose. And it's similar with these guys, except worse, because we're not talking about traffic tickets. We're talking about people's, lives. And they, whenever they, pull a gun on somebody, they arrest somebody, and they're a citizen. They have a common story. The common story that they have learned to use, ICE, is that the person that they pulled guns on was driving at them in their vehicle, was trying to kill, and it's always bullshit. I mean, or 90% of the time, it's made up shit. So these guys, these ICE guys, get as little as 8 weeks training before being put out on the street. To be a cop, you have close to a year of training at the academy. And then you've got months and months and maybe a year of riding with an experienced cop to learn how to actually, these guys have none of that. These guys don't, the leaders of ICE are idiots. Kristi Noem was never a cop. She was the governor of South Dakota. They don't, there's nobody at the top to tell these guys to behave better.
So what do you think communities should do in this situation?
They should do what they're doing because I looked it up, and there are only about 25,000 ICE officers across the U.S. compared to about 1 million cops. You know, so for every ICE person, you know, doing their bullshit with guns on the street, there are 50 cops. So they're not that many of them. And when communities yell at them, yeah, bad things can happen, but generally some good things happen that they back down. So, you know, the Trump administration is not competent. So they've failed at even hiring enough people to carry out their programs. So yeah,
and Rick, just along those same lines, I'm sorry to interrupt you and everything, but along those same lines, I know that Kim, one of the two founders of this network, sent another video, and maybe I'll play it on one of the other shows and everything like that. But it was basically the ICE recruiting videos, because apparently she said that those videos are very scary because they are actively recruiting people to do the kind of stuff that we saw on this video that Sasha provided to us and everything like that. So
yeah, but the good news is they're not getting that many recruits. And also the Trump promised to get rid of all the bad criminals among the illegal immigrants flooding our, there aren't that many bad criminals. So they have to arrest preschool teachers. You know, the border has been shut down now under Trump for more than 9 months. Has the quality of life in America improved in any significant way because of the border? I don't think so. But I'm looking at, so Hitler and the Nazis, they were pretty competent. I mean, you know, until Hitler went crazy and then, you know, tried to invade Russia. But in terms of their political organization in Germany in the 30s, so they had brown shirts. Brown shirts were kind of a little bit the equivalent of ICE. They were the stormtroopers, the guys on the street. And I looked up their numbers. And in 1930, they had 60,000 members. By 1931, they had 220,000. By 1934, with Hitler having been chancellor for a year, they had 4 million members in a country of 6 million. So one person in 15 was one of these stormtroopers. Trump has been in office for almost 10 months, and he's managed to recruit 25,000 of these ICE guys. It's for a country 5 times as big as Germany, because they're freaking competent. And, you know, if you do a little bit of, you know, I shouldn't talk because I'm in a nice neighborhood where they don't come. But, you know, so, you know, I'm not putting myself on the line to go yell at them. But I like when they get yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that communities in places like Chicago, Los Angeles, probably some areas, should get organized and even become friendly with the police who are managing their territories to together police their neighborhoods.
Yeah, the police don't like these guys because the police
Absolutely
have to work in their city, and the police like having. Police don't want to be hated by everybody on the street, but these jackasses come in, they rough everybody up, and then everybody like associates that, you know, ICE with the police, and it raises the level of hostility and makes cops' jobs harder.
You just make it harder, but just really quick, and this is for both of you. I'm sorry about that, Sasha, but what is your thoughts about the notion of some of these paramilitary units coming back in to force and everything? Because even during the 60s, even though they had other things that they were known for, such as the food bank or the food drives and some of the things.
You mean like the Black Panthers?
What's about like the Black Panthers and the Guardian and the Guardian Angels, which was Curtis Steele.
Well, let Sasha say what he was going to say, and then we'll talk about it.
I want to ask you if it's illegal for a neighborhood to organize in a way so to make a territorial map of their neighborhood and announce that this territory is out of reach to this Trump's commanders. And if they will be met with the arms, and in fact, there could be atrocities against them.
So the Black Panthers. So, there was a lot of media bullshit when I was growing up too. We had fewer media outlets, but when I was a kid growing up in a very white town, we were taught that the Black Panthers were super bad, violent gangsters who just wanted to tear down America. But if you look at what the Black Panthers were doing, they were to kind of, defending themselves, but not being super aggressive and doing things like you're talking about, food banks and stuff.
Right.
They were community activists who happened to have, a shitload of guns.
Right.
But they weren't going out and, wrecking America.
But they also had what Sasha's talking about. They did have a rule that, that they were pretty much defending their territory, whether that was territory around Watts or whether that was other territories. And that meant that if forces came in there, whether that was army or police, that they would be met with some resistance and everything like that.
I think that's reasonable, especially since there aren't that many ICE people, 25,000 for the whole frickin' country. And they're lowering their standards to get more and shortening the training period to get more ICE on the street. But I don't think they're being that successful.
Yeah. What's your take on it, Joe? Because I have seen that ICE has even been here in Durham, where we're located at, and everything. They've been in different places. I think they've made stops at schools and definitely have made stops in apartment complexes. So it's not just the big cities of Chicago and LA that they're targeting. So what is your thoughts around this mobilization of ICE and what Sasha was showing us, which is how ICE is abusing their power?
Yeah, ICE is definitely abusing their power. From the man having a seizure in the car where they're trying to yank his baby away from him, to them tear gassing people with 1-year-olds in the back. They don't care. They tear gas police officers. They tear gas near schools with elementary kids. They don't care. This mobilization, cruelty is what the point of all of this is. If they figure they can scare enough people, they can do whatever they want. I mean, that's what it's about. It's all about intimidation. If I can scare you into leaving, I will scare you into leaving. I don't have to change a thing. I can save money and whatever. I can make money for myself. If I can scare you into just capitulating to doing anything I want you to do, I'm a scare. That's what the whole point of this is. So yeah, the mobilization of ICE is his private army. That's what it is. He's paying ICE more than teachers get paid. That tells you what his idea is.
And as of June, 56% of voters disapprove of ICE versus 39% approval, which is pretty much Trump's numbers. So
yeah, what's getting, and this is another reason why. Because honestly, it was Jon Stewart brought it up was it Jon Stewart that brought it up last night? No, it was somewhere I was reading or watching. But they brought up a great point, which is very, very true. And I think I even stated earlier today. The reason why for the Democrats, why they should have stuck with the shutdown and kept on fighting, not only to get health care, but because of the country struggling and the position that it was in and continue to be, because it's still going to be bad for a little while, but then stuff is going to start to fade from memory. But as stuff was bad, that's the only thing that's going to break the cult mindset. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. They don't care about anything but Trump. If Trump says it's good, and they will parrot it. But when they start seeing that their bills aren't being paid and they're being evicted, that's when they're starting to change and get, okay, no, now we got a problem. When you got Marjorie Taylor Greene understanding to make it in a general election, that she has to actually start answering questions and start actually sounding reasonable instead of talking about Jewish space lasers, yeah, you're starting to break through that cult mentality. And that's why, again, had they stuck with that, you had everything going your way. But now they give up the whole They give up everything, and then it's going to start to fade, and that cult mentality is going to come back. This is why that $2,000 is there, because, hey, I'm going to pay everybody $2,000. Dude, you ain't paying nobody nothing.
You ain't paying nobody nothing at all.
Here's an article where Laura Ingraham, who's a big Fox right-wing commentator, gave Trump a little bit of shit during an interview. Yeah, he was talking about how great the 50-year mortgage was going to be. And he doesn't even know that the standard mortgage is 30 years. In the interview he says, it's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years. And Ingram had to correct him that it's the 30 year.
Yeah, 30 years for the standard mortgage. But by the way, there is another one of his people that he was not a big fan of that may have given him a temporary reprieve. And I just wonder what we think about this. But Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has given the Trump administration until 4 p.m. on Monday to submit an additional brief to support its request for a stay on a lower court's ruling that it must pay the November SNAP benefits in full by using funds from other child nutrition programs.
Right, so people get mad at this, but then if you go read about it, her move is strategic because if she, as an individual justice, she can throw it back to the lower courts, and then that ruling sticks. If she does anything else, then it goes to all of SCOTUS, and it takes 2 months to get a ruling. So by doing what she did, she cut down the time that people get denied SNAP.
Yeah, but I think Trump said that he's not going to go along with this, that he's not going to pay anyway.
So, it's bad that the Dems back down, but the Republicans are going to keep on being dicks. And supposedly part of the deal was a promise that the Republicans would vote on continued health care subsidies in mid-December. And it's a win-ish win kind of deal because hold on, and you can tell me where I'm wrong. Either they vote to continue the subsidies, which is a temporary victory, or they vote them down and then they look like huge dicks again, and they fuck over 15 million people. It doesn't matter.
They campaigned on the Epstein files. They're going to release it day one. Where are those Epstein files?
Well, speaking of the Epstein
they
files,
campaigned. Hold on, real quick, Mark. It doesn't matter what the Republicans say. Again, it's a cult mentality. So when they start saying the same thing over and over, loud and proud of how this is, all that mentality is going to do is tell people this is exactly the way it is. I'm going to parrot what Trump says. He's right. That's what we're going to fade back to because they didn't give them anything to break out of that cult mentality. And until we give them something to break out of there, it's just going to go straight back to it.
Well, they might have given them one thing, and I think Sasha's even mentioned, I know Rick has mentioned it a couple of times, but later on, or actually tomorrow, Mike Johnson is supposed to swear in Atleta Grella Jaffa, and that's supposed to be the vote that gets them to actually vote to release the Epstein file. So when she gets sworn in, are we going to have enough votes, and are we going to get a vote finally on
what people are theorizing is there's another special election, maybe in Virginia, I don't know, in one of the eastern states where a Democrat may be replaced with a Republican on December 5th. And Johnson's going to try to hold off that Epstein vote until the 5th, hoping that they get a Republican in there who drops the number of signatures on that petition to get the files out back down to under 50%. So we'll see.
And even more so, even when you open up the government, or even if whatever comes about, we already know the play. They flood the zone with so much stuff. So if that vote happens, you're not going to know because something else is going to be going on.
Let's talk about flooding the zone. And again, I'm thinking going back to Nazi Germany, where in the 20s, like there was a ton of shit going on. It's very similar to now. The main shit being, and I don't know enough about German history, but they had hyperinflation where the value of your money would decline by more than half in the course of a day. Like you get paid, you have to run and buy bread. Otherwise, your money's not going to be worth shit by the end of the day. People were walking around with wheelbarrows full of money. So that must have been chaos every freaking day. But the Nazis came in and they said they would clean it all up. The Germany had been humiliated by the Versailles Treaty, which ended World War I. And Hitler came in and said, Germany's not going to eat shit anymore. And so he was going to make everything great. And for a while, things were looking up for Germany with all of Hitler's programs. But it's similar in the US where there's a ton of shit going on, crazy crap every day. The difference between us and Nazi Germany is that the crazy crap is
we don't speak German.
Well, yeah, and the craziness is coming from the Versailles Treaty. The craziness is coming from inside the house, from Trump and everything. And while a bunch of crazy shit all happening at once has helped Trump for a while because everything distracts from everything else. But when all the bad news starts coming in, the inflation news, the unemployment news, the tariff shit, eventually it's going to start weighing on Trump, and his approval numbers have dropped 2-3% in a month, which is the fastest drop of this current presidency.
That doesn't matter, though. The reason it doesn't matter is because he centralized power. He runs that Republican Party. The Republican Party controls both the House and the Senate. They have yet to ever check him on anything. We have Dr. Oz in Health and Human Services. He has yet to be checked on anything he has done. So he has centralized power, which was done where? Where are you talking about? He has established, he is taking control of not only the school systems, in terms of suing the school systems. He's attacked the media. So the media has been told not to report heavily on him. Yes, he's gone after these things, and he's trying to control whatever narrative gets put out there. It's the reason when the Democrat, that's why another thing with the shutdown, he could not control that narrative because people were outraged and people wanted answers, and the media had to be honest about that answer. Now you're back to the same situation.
But what Sasha says, when people start really noticing it at supermarkets and rent and their health insurance going crazy, Trump was talking about how the Walmart full Thanksgiving dinner, you can buy a full Thanksgiving package at Walmart, and it's down. It's 25% cheaper this year. And Trump's saying, that's me. And then they looked at it, and the reason it's cheaper this year is because it contains 6 fewer items, and the items it contains are smaller than last year's.
And they're not name brand, but also take into account, though, Rick, the context around that. They were talking about that during the shutdown. People noticed then because people were upset and ready to penny pinch and already losing money, going to different grocery stores, helping other people out who can't afford different things. That was during the shutdown. Now coming out of the shutdown, and when there's not anything like that going on, even though it's still happening, the cameras are gone. The news is gone. The recognition that there is still that problem where people are struggling is gone. Nobody noticed that, hey, in that big, beautiful bill that they're trying to market, they took out, what was it, $800 million out of SNAP? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we care about SNAP, but we care about SNAP now. We want to feed people now. But, hey, when they're cutting out the 800 and some odd billion dollars out of SNAP benefits already, shortchanging people already, nobody cared. Why? Because we didn't have what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I think there's a chance Trump's support erodes. I'm looking at Drudge Report, and every freaking story is the crazy crap that the Republicans doing, and people being Tucker Carlson, who used to be, the spokesman for MAGA, is now saying crazy crap about how he was attacked by demons and his dogs were the witness, and having anti-Semites on his show to the point where people are getting like it's just there's a ton
I mean, I completely agree with that, but the other issue that comes into play now that shutdown is there or is gone and it's off the table, now people are going to be pissed off. People are going to be looking for answers because the problems are still going to be there and the government's now open. Now who you're going to blame? And that becomes a narrative that people are going to put out there. Hey, the Democrats didn't get anything and they shut down the government. That's what's going to start to stick. And then once that sticks, then that just moves the post again and we're stuck in the same situation.
Toby, that's what he was trying to do with the sports announcing that I saw from Paris Allen and everything like that. It was a sports show, but it looks like he's trying to do it with the education as well. Because I see this article that was in Newsweek, and I think it's this week's Newsweek, where he's trying to paint himself as a friend of education. So there's a quote where he says, "We do have a lot of people coming in from China, and we always have China and other countries. We also have a massive systems of colleges and universities, and if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business." So he's trying to make himself or paint himself as a friend of colleges. And we know that this has been something that he's been having other issues with, because he added, we're taking trillions of dollars from students. You know, the students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive. And this was all after a turning point incident in California, where there were some people on Monday that attacked some of the turning point folks and everything like that. So it seems like he's trying to paint himself as a friend of education, which I find kind of sarcastic and kind of ridiculous and everything like that. But it sounds like he's trying to paint himself as a friend of education, even though we know he's been cutting a lot of school funds.
Yeah, he's a friend of education, but he's killing the Department of Education. He's also cut funds from the education He's also killed some special needs education stuff. Yeah, he's a friend of education the same way he's a friend of black people when he cut funds to different things that affect black people a lot, from was it Job Corps and so on and so forth. Yeah, he's a friend of all these places that he's killing, because that's what he does. And that's that narrative that sticks and people run with it. But if you don't, and that's why you need something to break through. And the only thing that was breaking through that narrative was that shutdown. Now, once we get a month in, watch, people are going to start to gloss over what happened in the past.
Sasha's got
Sasha had a point.
I was thinking about why Schumer and all leadership, essentially, of the Democratic Party caved in and agreed to this horrible deal. I think that they depend on corporate donors to Democratic Party. And I'm sure that the key people like Schumer and others bringing these corporate donors, definitely they have a little bit a piece of action to themselves. So they figured out that it's beneficial for themselves personally, and perhaps to a party, so everything is peace, quiet. Well, we knew that Trump is a bad person. There is nothing new about that. Okay, so there's another 3 years to struggle. What can we do about it? And so on and on. And that's why they cave in. It's a horrible mistake. They could make a stance that would stay in the history of America, and Republicans would have to cave in, because they also have corporate donors. These corporate donors would make a mess out of Republicans, including perhaps Trump, and say, "You idiots, what are you doing? The country is dying. People are starving. What the hell you are doing?" But the Democrats caved in. It's a horrible mistake, and it has to be corrected. And the only way to correct it, change of leadership. People like Schumer, they cannot be the leadership position.
All right, I'm going to be a little optimistic. I'm surprised I haven't heard this quote from Abraham Lincoln during this whole frickin' thing, which is, you can fool some of the people all the time, and all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
Right.
Well, I don't think that he's fooled all the people all the time, or even he's just fooled some people, and those some people just stick around regardless. And
So
that's
what
the
you're
problem that
saying
we have.
So you're saying you can fool enough of the people enough of the time to really fuck things up.
I mean, what was that
Yep,
famous quote?
you really
What was that famous quote from P.T. Barnum about basically a
Sucker.
sucker being born every minute or something like
Yeah,
that? So,
well, that needs to be adjusted too, because he said that when we only had a quarter of the number. There's a sucker born every 15 seconds now, because we have 4 times as many people.
And so one thing I think Sasha, you're spot on. Chuck Schumer can't stay. And I think that would appease a lot of the Democrat base if Chuck Schumer goes. If he's no longer leader, then that will at least that's a Band-Aid on that major problem, but at least it's a Band-Aid, and that'll make people feel a little bit better for what took place, because Chuck Schumer cannot stay.
Ask him to resign immediately and put Sanders as interim leader until there will be a proper forum to elect a new leader.
And what we need are people to turn out for the general in 2026. And if we get younger people, like, with the charisma of Mondami, which is asking a lot, to primary the old fuckers, that this might, and we get some charismatic candidates in there, this might improve Democratic turnout in the midterms.
You have to do immediate things first. Immediate thing is get Schumer out of the way. Ask him to resign politely. Give him 24 hours. If not, just move him out.
Right.
Put Bernie Sanders as the interim leader and make in a month or 2 a proper election of a Democratic leader. That's what you're kind of.
Because right now the Democrat Party wants blood, and Schumer has to go. There's no ifs, ands, but if he goes right now, that will blunt the pain that they're feeling. And honestly, that would actually get more people out for that general, because then they're saying, okay, finally they're listening. But right now, if Schumer stays, it's going to
suck. We get ready to wind down and everything like that. I do have a quick question for everybody.
One more quick thing. They just announced that the Democratic new representative, Adelita Grijalva, will be sworn in tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that earlier.
Okay,
she would be sworn in at 4 o'clock and everything. Just really quickly, because that was the other thing I learned about Coach K when I was watching that interview, is apparently over at Duke University, he's teaching a course in leadership. I wish that Chubby was here and everything like that, but I was wondering, would either one of you two gentlemen take a course in leadership from him? And maybe Trump and the Democrats need to take a course in leadership from him, because he is a certified professor at Duke University, which I live near and everything like that. He did have that success on the basketball field. So would either one of you take a course in leadership?
Teaching it?
Coach K from Duke University, the former coach of Duke University.
Yeah, I like hearing successful people talk.
Yep, and he's been doing that for a while. Apparently, he's done that ever since he retired, because the new coach has been there for about 2 or 3 years. So I think he's been a professor for about a few years now. Who knows? Maybe we'll try to get him here on Pod TV to share some of his business wisdom and all along those lines. But he is teaching the course in leadership, because that's what he said the course is in leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. So
all right, I'm going to lead us out of here. I'm going to go eat lunch.
And I'm going to find me some dinner, because it's about dinner time right here and everything like that. Tomorrow we've got World Edition, and we've also got Modern Investment. So I know we'll be hearing about the S&P 500 from Milan, and we'll also be hearing about other things going on, including how Sasha is a market wizard. And we'll also be hearing from Jim Eade as well. So right now, let's get on out of here, and I'll see you gentlemen on tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem.